like I never thought I would be here. Now that I'm here, I'm about to take it to another level.
Total, featuring Kima, Keisha, and Pam, hip-hop and R&B group active since 1994. It's the mid to late 90s and R&B girl groups are thriving. In Vogue, TLC, Escape, SWV, each carving their own lane, delivering classics and shaping the sound of an era. Somewhere in that mix was a trio from New Jersey with a street edge that set them apart from their more polished contemporaries. Keisha, Kima, and Pam, better known as Total, were the epitome of Bad Boy Records' hip-hop soul movement. If Mary J. Blige was the queen of the sound, Total was its raw, unapologetic little sister. Introduced to the world through Notorious B.I.G.'s Juicy and One More Chance remix, their vocals carried an undeniable attitude, raspy, rugged, but still feminine enough to dominate R&B charts. Their self-titled debut album went platinum, driven by hits like Can't You See, No One Else, and Kissing You. Unlike most girl groups, Total didn't rely on powerhouse vocals. Their strength was in their vibe, a blend of streetwise cool and sultry melodies that made them the perfect bridge between hip-hop and R&B. By all accounts, Total should have been a mainstay in the genre. They had the sound, the look, and the backing of one of the most dominant labels of all time. But just as fast as they arrived, they began fading into the background. Their second album, Kima, Keisha, and Pam, barely went gold, a steep drop-off from their debut. By the early 2000s, the group had vanished, leaving behind only a handful of records and the question, what really happened to Total? Some blame the industry, some blame internal issues, and others believe they were the victims of the changing sound of R&B. But if you look closer, their downfall wasn't just a matter of bad luck. It was a combination of some of the same reasons that destroyed countless promising careers before them. Whether it was label politics, personal conflicts, or just being a product of an era that didn't know how to sustain groups like theirs, Total's decline was written before they even knew it. And while some members have made attempts to resurface, the truth is the R&B trio that once stood shoulder to shoulder with Bad Boy's elite was destined to be just another act that could have been more. How did a group with so much potential disappear so fast? Mainly for these three reasons. What happened? Let's talk about it. Salute to Twin on IG for this request. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth Music. Let's get it, man. Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. Total was an R&B group from the 90s hailing from New Jersey that signed to Bad Boy Records at the peak of its dominance. The trio, Keisha Spivey, Kima Rayner, and Pamela Long, brought a gritty, hip-hop infused sound to R&B that made them stand out. They got their first major look on the Notorious B.I.G.'s Juicy in 1994, setting the stage for their debut album a year later. Their 1996 self-titled album was a success, going platinum with hits like Can't You See, No One Else, and Kissing You. Their blend of street edge and sultry melodies made them a staple in 90s R&B. They followed up in 1998 with Kima, Keisha, and Pam, featuring Trippin' and Sittin' Home, but it failed to match the success of their debut. By the early 2000s, Total had quietly disappeared, leaving behind questions about why their run was so short. Stunt number 1, Bad Boy's ruthless business model. If it was one thing Total had going for them, it was their label. Bad Boy Records in the 90s was the place to be. Puffy had built an empire dominating both hip-hop and R&B with artists like Biggie, Mace, Faith Evans, and 112. The label had the sound, the marketing machine, and the cultural influence to turn artists into superstars. But behind the scenes, it was a different story. Bad Boy was known for its aggressive business model, where artists were often left with little control over their own careers. Contracts were notoriously one-sided, with reports of mismanagement, withheld royalties, and artists being discarded once they no longer served the label's vision. Total, like many Bad Boy acts, found themselves caught in the system. Their first album performed well, but by the time their second album dropped, the industry had changed, and so had Puffy's priorities. With Biggie's tragic death in 1997, Bad Boy shifted its focus. The label leaned heavier into commercial rap with acts like Mace and later Shine and Black Rob. R&B groups, once a major part of the formula, became an afterthought. Total's second album, Kima, Keisha, and Pam, suffered from lack of promotion, failing to capture the same momentum as their debut. Without the full push of the label behind them, their presence in the industry quickly faded. There were also rumors of financial disputes between the group and the label, with members reportedly feeling underpaid despite their success. This was a common theme for many Bad Boy artists, with former acts like The Lox and 112 publicly speaking out about their contract issues years later. Total wasn't just fighting for relevance, they were fighting to get what they were owed. In the end, Bad Boy's business practices didn't just hurt Total, it made their exit from the industry almost inevitable and left them struggling to recover. Stunt number 2, internal struggles and creative differences. One of the biggest reasons Total faded so quickly was the tension within the group itself. Unlike some girl groups that were built on lifelong friendships, Total was put together through industry connections. While they had great chemistry on record, behind the scenes, things weren't always smooth. Pam, the most distinctive voice in the group, was known for her strong personality and deep spiritual beliefs. Over time, her growing commitment to religion reportedly clashed with the industry lifestyle and even the direction of the group. Rumors spread that she wanted to move away from certain aspects of their music and image, causing friction. This type of dynamic is common in R&B groups and being in a group in general. One member wants more creative control or a different path, while the others are focused on maintaining what's already working, and disconnect happens. Kima and Keisha, on the other hand, seem more aligned with the Bad Boy aesthetic, embracing the flashy, street-savvy image that made them stars in the first place, but that also meant there was a growing divide. They weren't necessarily on the same page when it came to their future, and without a clear leader to hold things together, cracks started to form. Beyond creative issues, there were also personal disputes that made it harder to function as a unit. Whether it was disagreements over money, music, or direction, the bond that once held Total together began to weaken. Unlike groups like TLC or Escape, who were able to work through internal issues and make multiple comebacks, Total didn't have the same resilience. By the time the industry started shifting in the early 2000s, Total wasn't just battling label neglect, they were battling themselves. And when the foundation of a group is unstable, it doesn't take much for everything to collapse. Stunt number 3, failed to deliver another hit. One of the biggest reasons Total disappeared was simple: they couldn't make another undeniable hit. Their debut album had multiple charting singles, all fueled by the Bad Boy machine and heavy features from rap stars. Can't You See had Biggie, No One Else had Da Brat and Missy Elliott, and even their smoothest record, Kissing You, was pushed heavily by Bad Boy's dominance at the time. But when it came to prove they could stand on their own, Total struggled. Their second album was their chance to solidify themselves beyond just being another Bad Boy act. It produced Trippin', a song that managed to go gold and reach number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100, but even that record had a prime Missy Elliott carrying most of the creative weight. Without the same level of support and without a defining hit, the album failed to replicate their debut success. It went gold instead of platinum, a clear sign that their momentum was already slipping. After that, Total never found another hit. Whether it was due to a lack of promotion from Bad Boy, internal struggles within the group, or simply losing the connection they once had, the fact remains other artists were making hit records and staying relevant while Total wasn't. R&B was still thriving with acts like Destiny's Child, Aaliyah, and Usher consistently producing chart-topping songs. Even other groups from that era like Escape and 702 found ways to stay active longer. Total's failure wasn't just about the industry changing, it was about them not delivering the kind of music that could compete. Without hits, they had no leverage, no staying power, and no way to reclaim their spot. Once the music stopped connecting, the industry moved on without them. All in all, Total had all the tools to be a lasting force in R&B. Unique voices, undeniable chemistry, and the backing of one of the most dominant labels of all time. But their downfall wasn't just one issue. It was a combination of bad business, internal struggles, and most importantly, the inability to make another defining hit. Bad Boy's infamous contracts and shifting priorities left them without the full push they needed, while behind the scenes creative and personal differences weakened their foundation. Their second album did well, but without another chart-topping record to keep them in rotation, Total quickly faded into the background. While a few members have made sporadic returns over the years, their time at the top was short-lived. In the end, Total became another name in the long list of 90s R&B groups that couldn't sustain success. A group with all the potential, but not enough to last. Salute, much respect, but for these reasons, their growth was stunning. It's your boy JC, Stunted Growth Music, and I'm out.